This is the best time.
We'll just subtitle it.
Well,
Sounds good to me.
Here, can you hear that?
All right, gentlemen, let's dance and have some fun tonight with all of our wonderful viewers that we have out there. Right? Look who we got tonight.
Hey! It's good to see you again.
Dan, it's awesome. Steve Mantilla is running camera. We love you, Steve. Somebody give us a countdown and let's do this, right? Hey, Mike.
All right. Hey, what's up?
3, 2, 1.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you.
These are anyway.
And by GL Robotics. With over 61 colors of 3D printing filaments in stock, your gateway to new technology. Check out their website at glroboticsusa.com. Further support is provided by Microengineering, keeping you on track with quality products for 55 years. Check out their website at www.microengineering.com. Order from your local dealer or order direct by calling 1-800-462-6975. Additional support is provided by Yelsma Graphics, America's leading distributor of quality railroad art and embroidered clothing since 1985. Check out their website at yelsma.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 187 for March 5th, 2022. I don't know how we got there, but it's been 82 degrees this week here in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been out there working on the Garden Railroad, all the lighting set up. We got a great bonfire going on tonight. In fact, Dan shot some B-roll of me lighting the fire. Very safe. Everything's under control. We got a lot of guests coming over after we shoot the show, and I'm so looking forward to the festivities that we're going to have tonight with a lot of fellow model railroaders and otherwise friends that we may be able to convert into model railroaders, which is always something I love to try to do. So with me tonight, I've got James Regier on the side here. Hey, James.
hi everybody.
How's that house coming?
Oh, it's coming nicely. When it was hitting 85 degrees, they were out there building our brand new patio that
Yes.
they've put out there, and it's just going to be nice and large. And I was just envisioning all the fun we're going to have out there. Yeah.
Tell me you're planning a garden railroad.
No. I've seen what's going on with your garden railroad, and I'm happy to visit.
Oh, rock and roll. Next to me, all the way from, where are you from, Dan?
Northern Virginia.
Northern Virginia. Dan drove 12 hours to come here, and he's going to hang out here on the property for about 4 days. Looking forward to that.
Always looking forward to it.
Breakfast was amazing this morning.
It was.
Amazing.
Steak and eggs.
Dan Parmelee, otherwise known as an N-scale model railroader. You've seen him on a previous What's Neat show. Do you remember which one that was?
I don't remember the number, but it was June 1st, 2019.
And that's the wonderful thing about what Randy Hook has done for us. He's created the What's Neat Index. You can find it at what'sneat.com, which shares every single episode of What's Neat, this podcast that we record on Saturday nights, plus all the subject matter, all the products, and photographs of everything. In fact, you found a picture of yourself on there.
Yeah, my headshot right there, right from that show, too.
Isn't that
Right,
awesome?
Yes.
That's amazing.
All the way on the other side, I've got Mike, buddy. Hey, Mike.
everybody.
Mike, they really loved hearing last week about you talking about your inspiration on how you model. You've never gone in depth about your layout before, but it was a joy to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah.
So promise me someday we can get a camera in your basement.
Yeah, someday soon.
A lot of neat stuff going on. I just finished working on the April What's Neat video. In fact, I got 5 more days to do that. Our favorite Jennifer Kirk, all the way from the UK, did a segment in the April video on how to use solder and how to solder track and wire and different ways of working, again, with solder. That's a specialty in that you all well know if you don't use flux or use the right kind, you can't get the solder to flow correctly. And she goes in depth and shares with us exactly how to do just that. We love you, Jenny. Thank you so much. Also in that video, Mike Budde shot a segment, in fact, yesterday, a very in-depth segment, the most we've ever discussed it, details about how to do car windows. Talk about that for a minute.
Scotch tape windows, yeah. I've done it since I was a kid on my Matchbox cars, and I started doing on these resin vehicles that I've been doing over the last few years, and a lot of people ask me how I do the windows, and so we did it once on this show, but it was real quick. And then John Tyson has a video on YouTube of how to do it, and his is pretty nice too. So we tried to do it in a little more in depth yesterday, although I still felt rushed.
I tried that technique on a couple of those grain trucks that I put together, a couple of years ago that I lit up and all that
How'd
stuff.
that work out?
It worked out very nicely. I was impressed.
Yeah, I even use it on a couple structures I've done lately.
Right.
You've
It's
got
really
everybody
good for
good.
flat, like caboose windows even, and building windows. Yep.
It inspired me to actually use packing tape, that very clear packing
Yeah, it's
tape.
a little bit
to
more
do that
sturdy.
fire station that we covered in a previous What's Neat video that ran over at Model Railroad Hobbies magazine. And a lot of doubting Thomases out there said, you know what, that's not going to work. Dust is going to stick to it and this and that and the other thing. It does work. Some of the vehicles I've got on the shelf here, in fact, these trucks, those windows are 20 years old now. They don't yellow. They don't attract dust, and it looks fantastic in photography.
Well,
so yes, it does work.
And it beats those styrene windows because
Right.
those are always too thick.
You
Right.
can't take
Yeah.
acetate and curve it the way what Mike does
Right.
with some of these vehicles. Those
Right.
windows are conical. They
Yeah,
curve.
yeah.
It's very difficult to do that with any other medium
Yeah.
pen tape.
Yeah.
So we look forward to seeing that, Mike, in the April video. Also in the April video, Joe Fugate, our favorite editor of Model Road Hobbies magazine, does a very in-depth interview with us about all the new things that they've completely restructured the magazine. A new format, easy to navigate. It's wonderful the way it's laid out, plus all the various video programs they offer, including the What's Neat show that we produce for him every single month, which we're describing right now. So I got about 5 more days left. We're waiting to see if Bachman Industries is going to do an interview on that show, but otherwise that one's almost just about done, plus drone footage coming up. So I look forward to getting that done because Dan Scheidel is an amazing drone pilot. He was on the show once and shared with us his $8,000 drone. He's got a professional pilot's license to be able to do this. It's all legal, it's all legit, and the photography is amazing. And that's what I like about modeling ideas from above, because if you can make your models look just like that,
Right.
the color tones, the way trees look, everything is filmed from the height that we view our layouts. I think it's an invaluable tool that we've never had before. I do know that when I had done courtroom models and still do for the BNSF Railroad, those attorneys would take me up in a helicopter. And it was very cost prohibitive for an average modeler to hire a helicopter pilot, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
But with drones, it brings it so that the laymen like ourselves all have the ability to do just that.
That's right.
And even if you don't have one, you know someone that does.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so here in St. Louis, we have 2 railroad bridges that cross the Mississippi River. In fact, that's one of the reasons, other than the steamboats of the 1800s, this is why St. Louis exists, because it's the one point in the country where all the railroads on the east side conglomerate. They've got all their hump yards, and they're able to transfer freight across the river. We've got the MacArthur Bridge, which is the main bridge just south of the Arch, about 1,000 feet, which is a magnificent structure. We also have the Merchants Bridge, which is why I want to talk about this tonight. They are replacing the spans, which look similar to what you see here on the Central Valley Bridge sitting in front of me. The Merchants Bridge has got brand new piers. They've completely rebuilt the piers. And now, as of this week, and actually this month, they've started to replace the spans on the bridge, taking out the older spans and replacing them with the welded steel girder type spans. And I've got a few photographs I want to share with you of this, and if I probably already started running them as I described it. But it's amazing to watch them float these bridges in on a barge, set them up in position, and have these hydraulic jack cranes lift them up, put them on top of the piers, and line up everything. It's just like building a model, except for you can't pick it up by your hand.
Right.
And I thought it was worth talking about because those are the 2 bridges we've got in St. Louis. The nearest railroad crossing close to St. Louis is Cape Dorado, Missouri, just south of us. So, fascinating subject matter, and I thought it was relevant to be able to talk about that on tonight's show. So with Dan Parmelee being here, Dan, you brought some wonderful models to talk about tonight. Tell us what you brought.
Yeah, I figured, coming 800 miles, might as well bring a bunch of the toys. So, brought 4 total, well, 5 if we count both the Maryland Midland locomotives and 2 Veranda UP G-Tel turbines. And I've also got my N scale CB&Q EMD 5A Silver Streak Zephyr.
That's beautiful.
This is a Kato setup here.
That's beautiful.
And it comes in this awesome case too that you can actually put on your bookshelf. It stores everything. It has slots for all the cars. I've just got a few of the cars out here. You can see it even has a slot for extra locomotives. So when I bought this, it was the DC only, and that's the locomotive that's at the bottom. But on one of my overnights with the airline a couple years ago when I was in Chicago, I had enough time to go out to the Illinois Railway Museum out there. Yes. And that locomotive that's at the head of that train right now is the Silver Streak Zephyr that they have out there, the Nebraska Zephyr.
Oh, nice.
I believe. So that's the one that you can see if you go to that museum. And it's in great shape. I think they still get it out and run it. So that's really neat. That,
well, they rolled it down to Alton not that long ago. I seem to remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, from Kato, you can get these as DC or DCC with and without sound. That one has the TCS non-sound decoder, but you can get them from Kato with a Loc sound sound decoder and speaker in it. So eventually I'd like to upgrade this one to be DCC and get speakers in both of them. That'll
they have really
be
captured the
fantastic.
collector's market in that the presentation, when he opened this up tonight and showed it to me, I was just blown away at the fact that, A, you could put this on your bookshelf.
Right.
But what a beautiful presentation.
Yeah.
For a point of sale at a hobby shop, you open that up, how do you say no to something like that? Hats off to Kato. You've been doing it for years. I mean, many years. They've displayed their models like that.
And it is a great running locomotive too. I mean, it's quiet, it's smooth running, it's reliable, and it's just really great.
So did you talk about the Maryland?
Yeah, so Maryland Midland from my neck of the woods. That is a real short line that operates in the Frederick and Carroll counties in Maryland, a little ways north of D.C. That railroad started back in 1980. And they've got several locomotives. They've got the GP38s. They've got some Jeep 9s, and I think they maybe have a few other different locomotives there. And then in 2007, they were purchased by Genesee in Wyoming, and they interface with CSX up there. And they carry quite a bit of freight. They're a very successul railroad.
Are they starting to paint some of the locomotives in the Genesee, Wyoming orange paint scheme?
That I'm unaware of.
Okay.
I did get these locomotives a few years ago. They really do look like this. They keep them in really good shape. What's interesting is it's the same colors as the University of Virginia, which is in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is where I grew up.
Sure.
So it was really neat when I saw those
Yeah.
and picked them up from Atlas, having the orange and blue. And and those are also great running locomotives. They are pretty well bulletproof. When I take them to the club layout for the op session, they're always in my case because they're just so reliable.
Atlas builds a very good locomotive, and I'll just say that I've just been rebuilding one that had a bad wreck at the Magic House. Their record for having spare parts so that you can keep rebuilding these things and keep them in operation for years and years, even in the wake of disasters, is outstanding. I've never really had a disappointing experience with Atlas.
That thing's got a Kato drive in it, doesn't it?
Well, this thing. So yeah, we'll talk about this right now. This is a find at Traintown there on Manchester, and I just happened in there and I saw this locomotive. It's a Kato built Atlas GP7 from circa 1992, so it's about 30 years old.
Wow.
I put it on the test track. It's running like the day it was new. Not really surprising to me. I have a bunch of those old Kato Atlas locomotives, and they run. They just keep running. In fact, those F7s that I had here a month ago, underneath their Intermountain skin, those are the old Stewart Kato chassis underneath them. So just talk about your bulletproof mechanisms being able to run forever.
First Kato engine I ever had was, and I didn't know it was one of those Atlas yellow box. It was an RS3 decorated for Santa Fe. Somebody gave it to me, a neighbor of mine that was into trains. And when I put that on my little 8-9 foot section of track and saw how smooth, and it was just amazing to me that it could go so slowly and so smoothly.
Oh yeah.
So that's the.
I think our first one was an RS1 in Kansas City Southern. just because my dad was really excited about getting them at the time, and they were out of Santa Fe, and so he got the next closest thing he could find, Kansas City Southern, and
Yeah.
those just keep running and running and running.
And are they pretty straightforward if you pick one up that's DC to get them converted to DCC and add sound?
You know, they're actually for one that was built years before DCC was even conceived. Ken, I'll take the shell off so that you can see what I'm talking about. We can B-roll it later. But you basically have the board. You have wires from each truck that go to the central board. And that board then connects the motor and connects the lights. And it's very easy to swap it out. Any number of manufacturers make board swap out decoders for these locomotives. The only thing you probably want to do while you're at it is take out that grain of wheat bulb and upgrade it to LEDs. But they are ultra low amp draw. The mechanism is bulletproof, so great candidates for DCC conversion.
I'm going back to 1986 when I described my first RS3s, I think maybe RS345s that Kato had come out with.
Yeah.
And those were amazing in that I had them running literally 1 foot, 12 inches on the layout. And the motor RPMs were that of, I mean, it was so amazing how slow that they were able to run. This was way before the advent of DCC.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Quality lighting too. They ran the lights through these not acetate but injected molded lights that went from the center locomotive to and the beams were amazing. So Kato is really truly honest to God figured it out so long, and other manufacturers then studied what they had done and otherwise reverse engineered it into what we have today.
Yeah. So, but I saw this at Traintown, and the first thing I thought was, this is the locomotive that I've been looking for the Magic House layout for a long time. I mean, you don't see them very often, but when you do, grab them. Yes. And I'll tell you another thing. I hear a lot of people, talking about, well, how do I get into the hobby? That locomotives can be kind of expensive. These old Kato locomotives are far less expensive when you buy them on eBay or at a trade show or at these secondhand markets. But in just about every case, they're going to be a very reliable locomotive that'll grow with you in the hobby. And although
they're pretty rugged too.
They're very rugged. Hands. And although they're not super detailed, they look good enough. Kato was in fact one of the first ones to have the correct width hood on their Jeeps.
You paint the railings red on that,
and
it would look
you can paint the railings red and all of that. A lot of the detailing upgrades very nicely. So it's a locomotive that you can start your collection with and will grow with you very nicely.
I saw one today at the train show and I passed it by. I wish I would have bought it.
Yeah, it seems great too. You get if you want to get into DCC, you get the DC one. You can play around with doing the upgrade, and then if you want to play around with super detailing, you've almost got a blank canvas to work from, right?
Yeah. No, I've been doing that with a lot of the Kato GP35s. I've had them on the show periodically.
Now, Dan Parmelee, you brought some Veranda turbines here, and these are the earlier Athearn models.
Yes.
Prior to that, they were actually made by Lionel in HO scale. You've got Veranda number 61 and number 71, and if you study the roof details on this, and I'm going to B-roll this, so don't worry about getting close on this, Steve, but you've got 2 variations on this.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of the details on why the 61 has a slightly different roof than the 71. One thing that I actually found interesting about the number 61, with these second generation of turbine locomotives that UP had, it was used in experimenting with multiple unit control with other diesel locomotives.
Right.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with it not having that same roof detail. You guys might know better than me what that is on the 71. That's non-existent on the 61. And even too, for whatever reason, the 71 has that little gray patch on top of that yellow box.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah. So there are some minor differences. Might need to do some digging to actually find out, why they're that way. In terms of age of those models themselves, the 71, I'm not really sure exactly how old that model is. I actually picked that up the last time I was here in St. Louis in December of 2019 over at K10's.
Right.
Trains in their little outlet hobby shop there. And that one does have the fuel tender. The 61 I picked up later. I liked that 71 so much. I really wanted to have another one, and I happened to find the 61 on eBay, although it doesn't have the tender. And I also found it interesting. The trucks are different. So you've got the silver trucks on the 71, and then the dark gray trucks on the 61.
Did they ever MU those?
Ken and I were looking back at the December 2017 What's Neat, where he did a very long segment on the scale trains turbines, and he goes into a lot of the detail and the history of the different types. So again, this is the second generation, the Veranda, and they called it that because it actually has the walkways.
Right.
The first generations were basically the same body. They were a very long locomotive, but they were just a slab side.
Correct.
And those were the ones that they actually ran as an it's weird, A fuel tender, lash up. So those they ran MU'd, and then these as well were MU'd with diesels.
What video was that you were describing?
That was the December 2017 one.
December 2017, I did a very in-depth video on the history of all the turbines out there, which then led to the U50s, which eventually came from the turbine wheel sets as they changed. This is, in fact, the first locomotive that Union Pacific ever used where the trucks were painted silver for the very first time, and that was on a slab turbine with Farr grills. They had two different kinds of grills on the sides. I'm going to show you photographs of each type right now. The Farr grills were used for about 4 years, and then they changed them out, and they were experimenting constantly. The Veranda turbines that Dan has on the table were the last turbines that Union Pacific had done, whereas they finally refined the turbine down to the point where they wanted a walkway on the center up the middle of the model, whereas they could have easier access to the innards of the locomotive. If you watch the video that we just described, we cover all the turbines, the slab turbines, the Veranda turbines, the turbine that came out from scaletrains.com, that super turbine. Amazing models, and a lot of different decoders and sound systems, because Soundtrax also makes a sound system. Loc Sound makes a sound system that you can put into your units. It's a fantastic study, so check out that video if you guys are interested in turbines.
And one thing I will say about the Verandas, you have to be careful of. So with that one in the first generation model, they have cutouts in the chassis where you can put round speakers. You can't fill the holes with the Verandas because of that body where they have the walkways. It comes in and it'll sit on top of those speakers. I thought that was interesting. So
and this is nothing new, but I can tell you right now, and prior to Chris Palomares leaving Athearn a few years back, they're about to come out with a brand new Veranda turbine, all new. Everything's new inside of it. It's going to be a new design, new paint, new everything to make it more accurate. That's coming out from Athearn probably within the next 12 months.
Oh,
This
that's awesome.
just a refined version of the same engine, or?
Correct, and including getting the paint color right. These are just a shade a little bit too orange compared to what they should be, which we've covered in videos in the past. On the table tonight, Shaden Anthony provided us, and we talked about this on a show 2 weeks ago. This is a wonderful, he was 15, now he's 16. He actually had a birthday this week. Happy birthday, Shaden. Anyway, Shaden Anthony is the gentleman that is an overachiever, just like Daniel is, and he brought to us this yard tower, which isn't actually a yard tower. What it is a grade crossing tower, and this is an O scale. He's only going to produce the kit in O scale. It'll be available built or as a kit. The kit is $80. If you want it built, it's going to be $150, and you can. He doesn't have a website set up yet. He's working on that right now. You can email him at 2railoscale@yahoo.com in order to be able to order one of these O-scale, again, railroad crossing towers for your layout. He's not going to design it in HO scale because Walthers had come out with that model, and it's currently available in the catalog in HO scale. But again, this is a 3D printed model. He designed it. He did all the CAD work. He's amazing. I actually got to talk to you on the phone this week, and I was very impressed with your demeanor. You're very intelligent, and I look forward at some point having you on the show. You're amazing. So check that out, guys, if you're interested in this beautiful little O-scale yard tower. And that's what I've got on that. You got something on the table here, James?
Yeah, so this is a project that I'm about to embark on. This is a Sprague 3 DCC programmer, and what this is, it's a direct interface so that you can plug your computer right into a programming track. It has enough power that you can simultaneously, I think, both program and test your lighting functions and all that too. And so what I'm wanting to do is build a mobile programming station that, is about 2 feet long, can fold up in a case that I can keep on my workbench or take to the RPM meet and have and demonstrate the lighting features on my locomotives and that sort of thing. So I had an article that I edited, I think this last fall it was, where someone had built such a command station that they had not only this Sprague built into it, they also had a Backrus speedometer. That's a rolling speedometer that you put on those Bachmann roller tracks, and that you can actually, with the locomotive, basically standing still, not running up a lot of space, you can test by the revolutions of the wheel how fast it's going.
Nice.
And so with that, you can theoretically, and this is where the experimentation will really come in, you can actually do the speed matching in automated fashion using JMRI. Now, the catch is this Backrus fellow who built these Backrus speedometers has since retired, and so they're no longer available. So I'm going to try and build a similar rolling odometer-based tachometer-based speedometer using an Arduino, and hopefully have the same function that I can feed the speed readout into JMRI.
Is this something that would be commercially available down the road?
We'll see if I can make it first. We'll see if I can make it first.
It wasn't a trick question.
But absolutely, I think it would be a useful enough tool that to have it that you can just set your locomotive in the programming station right on your workbench. Not worry about putting it on the layout, and have everything programmed so that it's ready to go on the layout, and you don't have to mess with the speed matching and all of that. So that's what I'm hoping the potential of this is for. And, of course, the benefit of it is as long as I don't have a permanent layout set up, I'll still have a place to program and all of that. And I actually ran this, and so I'll just give out a shout out to Alex Koleshnikov at DCC Trains in Cincinnati, Ohio. Some of his videos initially got me started in looking at the potential of these Sprague systems. And if you get a chance, check out his videos. He is just about as tech savvy as they come in terms of looking at the latest in model railroading technology, and puts it out there for everyone to see and use and benefit
There
from.
you go.
So I've got a Sprague too for my home layout. I mean, I run a little 4x3 N scale layout using a Sprague, and I use it for programming too. It's great. I can plug it in at the desk, run on the test track, and then go take it upstairs and hook it up to the little layout and run trains with it.
Yeah.
So
A
it's
Sprague.
great.
Yeah.
Sprague.
And this unit, by the way, it's like I haven't opened the packaging yet, but this unit here is incredibly tiny. That's the whole thing right there.
That's a Sprague.
So it doesn't have the controller on it. You need to control it from your computer.
Okay.
But it's
I
a
need
neat
a What's
idea.
Neat video on that because I want to know more about this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And even the club layout I belong to, we have a Sprague for our programming track. So they're everywhere, and they're really popular, and they're a great tool to have.
Before we go to Mike Budde over here, because I know you got some great trucks to talk about, Mike, I've made an executive decision on my layout. As you well know, I did a lot of videos for Blackstone Models back in 2013 and 14 for their websites, which is actually owned by Soundtracks. But I'm going to get rid of the third rail on this layout, which is something Chris Palomares has been wanting me to do for years.
I never liked it either.
And I've got a combination of code 83 and code 70 on this layout, but I've decided and elected to go straight with code 70 microengineering track because it looks so good in photography and it looks so good in videos. So I'm going to run that all the way around the 157 feet. And with regards to turnouts, I've decided to go ahead and hand lay my turnouts because I can hand lay a turnout for about $1 or 99 cents a piece using microengineering code 70 rail and some spikes, which they also sell. It's going to be super simple. Now, how do you hand lay a turnout onto foam? What I'm going to do is lay a layer of balsa wood onto the layout where I can spike my rails and my ties directly into that. It's going to be super simple. It's going to go really fast. I simply use masking tape to lay out the design of the turnouts. So I'm not worried about frog angles whatsoever. I want to make it flow the way I want. And when you lay down masking tape into a track pattern and then simply follow that with your ties and your rails, it works out beautifully. No math. No quantifying what your frog angles are, because it's irrelevant, because once the track is hand laid and you fill in the frog with solder and you file it out with a hacksaw blade, everything just flows beautifully. So look forward to that this spring. It's going to take at least 6 months, I know, for me to redo that, which is going to be almost a complete rebuild on this layout. I'm looking forward to it. I'm finally going to get back.
I know.
Amazing.
So you're not using any of the templates that are available.
I don't want to. I don't need to. I use masking tape. I've done this in the past. I'll show you some photographs right now of how I did it on the Midwest Valley Modelers layout, where I simply took, again, masking tape, laid it onto, at the time, Homosote, and then I painted spray can paint on top of the tape and pulled the tape up, which left me the pattern of where to lay the ties, and you simply follow those lines of the paint lines now with your rail, and it works out beautifully. No templates. You don't need them. I use a sander to sand my points on the turnouts, and it works out just great. It just mathematically works.
Well, I am looking forward to learning about this.
I do use microengineering track gauges because that's the one savior I've got.
Right.
Gauging is so important. Mike, what do you got on your vehicles over here?
Well, Burkina came out with some pretty nice truck models recently, and I ordered these a few months ago from Bob Johnson at Master Built Models, and I had kind of forgotten about them, but then a long time ago when I was talking to him, I told him I'd heard Athearn was going to make this Transcon truck, and
nice.
He apparently remembered, because when I got my package the other day with these 2 Burkina trucks in it, this was in the bottom as a gift to me from Bob Johnson, so I really appreciated that. So
that's very kind.
Yeah, I'm going to send that up to Kevin Nieheisel up there in Illinois, Chicago area, that weathers all the trailers, and he's going to weather that up for me.
Oh, so nice.
We'll see how that turns out.
That's going to look awesome.
It is.
But anyway, those Burkina models are just amazing. Decorated, they come in a whole bunch of different colors, and they're totally detailed. I mean, I don't really have much room for trucks on my layout, but I just had to get at least one of each of those. They're amazing.
It's amazing how far, out of the box model trucks have come.
Dude, those are nice.
That's Kenworth Aerodyne.
I need to shoot these up close. I need to shoot some B-roll of those.
Yeah.
Peterbilt.
Maybe I'll shoot them outside.
Yeah.
Those are sweet.
And
what's
where
the
can you
price
find
point
those?
on those? Do you know?
They're from Burkina, but I got them from Master Built Models.
Okay.
Okay, we got to put remote control in them and little lights.
Man, yeah.
You have to do that.
That is going to be awesome.
Ed Richardson already did a
He did
tractor trailer, yeah.
That's right. We got video of that running. Don't make
But
me
yeah.
dig that out of him. He's so amazing. I really miss him
Now
since he
I
moved
know
out
he's
of town.
down in Oklahoma. We miss him.
Hey,
I've got to learn how to do that for sure.
before we end out the show, I want to mention Greg Summerlin down there at G&O Robotics down there in Alabama. I'll tell you what, they've restructured their website. It's absolutely beautiful. It's easy to navigate. A lot of great photography of all the new print machines that he's offering. Like I said, he's sending us a filament printer, and when that arrives, we're going to make a What's Neat video on it. But the most amazing thing, and now it's written on the website, I saw the words today. In fact, you and I were both looking at it. Customer service. You buy a machine, you might be confused on how to use it, or you have a problem with it, or something that doesn't work. He's now a full repair center. They are now repairing machines from around the country, sending them down there to Greg.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Which is great, which means he really knows what he's doing. His interview 3 weeks ago on the show was amazing. I loved listening to him talk. I can't get enough of this 3D stuff. You and I were talking about it a lot today.
Yeah, I am really curious seeing what he offers on that website, and the prices have really come down too.
That's
on this
something
3D
else you
printer
said.
stuff. So it seemed like, to me, it didn't seem like something I really wanted to get into, but just seeing, he even had some specials going on a few of the 3D printers.
That's right,
so,
you said that too.
It's definitely piqued my interest.
Well, with the 3D printers, this was a month ago, but I'm going to tell the story anyway. We were looking for Valentine's Day cards for my daughter Renata's first grade class. And for whatever reason, even though we were a week before Valentine's Day, Target was out. And I heard that a bunch of other stores in the area were out. And so I was like, you know what, Renata, we'll print our own. And so we went home and we found on Thingiverse we found a little figure of Grogu, Baby Yoda from the Mandalorian, holding a Valentine. And so I just printed out like 18 of those, and that's what her class got. Yeah.
That's
So
spectacular.
it takes print your own card to a whole new whole new level.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, that's all I've got on the list here. I do know that the March Show What's Neat video is coming out, and in that video, you helped me film Andrew Bobbis's HO scale ATSF layout, modular era 1959 with a Topeka train station.
With Topeka's train station? Yeah.
Barstow shops. Also in that video, we've got modeling ideas from above, this time from Jeff Nelson, and that is that beautiful ferry that they use down in Mobile, Alabama to haul freight cars from Mobile all the way down to Mexico. Fantastic drone footage of that.
Yeah.
Also in that video, I show how I designed the 2022 Bachmann catalog cover, which you actually watched today and found an interest in that. We don't just cover how to do the photography and how to design the scene, but we also talk about how to make wire bushes and how to make the trees and various other elements that attributed to making a great photograph on the Bachmann Easy Track concrete track, which is brand new to the market. And another thing that was mentioned in that video, which I think is amazing, is Walther's 2022 scholarship program. It's absolutely a fantastic program. We've talked about that on a previous podcast because Walther's is always looking for new ways to bring the youth into the hobby, and what a better way to do that is through education. So they're offering a program for high school seniors that are graduating. Check out the Walther's website at waltherstrains.com for more information on that.
Well, I've been seeing some pretty neat pictures coming up on Facebook of people that have subscribed to this Walther's Build a World subscription model thing, where they send you different parts of a diorama each month, and you build it, and it's pretty amazing what people are able to do with that.
That's very cool. So Dan Parmelee showed a very strong interest tonight in putting the lift-out section in on the layout. We're going to hand him the NCE Power Cab here, the wonderful system that runs our layout with radio control and everything around, and he's going to get to run some trains with us tonight because this is the best hobby in the world with some of the best people in it sitting right around me, and I love it every week we get to share the hobby with you. Thank you very much, Steve Mantilla, for running camera for us tonight. You're awesome. We love you, brother. James, Dan, and Mike. Guys, let's go run some trains.
All right.
Yeah. And don't worry, guys, the bluff is still not on fire.
Are you sure? Okay, we need a thumbnail, guys. Let's do that. Smile, show some teeth. I'm going to hold a happy bridge in my hands. Ready? Perfect. Keep camera one rolling. I will kill sound. Gentlemen, you did a great job tonight.
Right.
Dan, thank you very much.
It was a blast.
You're awesome.
Cool, man.
I can't wait to build mine. I won one of these bridges at the Benton show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Say, what scares me the most about layout building is trying to put a bridge on one.
Yeah.
I'm just so worried I'm never going to get it right.
We're doing good.
I love the way these feel. I do like
They're
these
ergonomic.
NC throttles. You know, our club layout's Digitrax, but I know I'd like to have.
I'll leave all three of those trucks here, Ken.
Thank you, Mike. I'll shoot them.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you want to leave that out for any B-roll or anything?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I was going to pop the hood.
I had no idea that they had actually made 2 variations of this Veranda. I didn't know that. It looks good, though. It really does.
Grab that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too. I want to say the 71. Oh, thank you. That's great. Yep.
I pulled a Dan on it.
Oh, Daniel got his first date last night. Oh my God, it was so cute. Oh my God, me and Holly sat at the table. You're watching this too. It was so adorable.
So they got along pretty well.
Oh my God, they both came out of their shells. They really hit it off.
No, that's great.
Of course, it
and
didn't hurt
this
that Holly was
winter
kissing
when I
me the
had
whole
our
time
little
at dinner,
holiday
and we were showing them, you know.
Because I had a couple other trains that would run on it. I put this one away, and literally there's a bookshelf
I'm
on
going
the
to
other side.
get going, man.
Okay.
I'll see you next Saturday, if not before.
It's a smart idea to do